Concert Pipeline. I'm Steve Jones. Welcome to 2025, a new year for Concert Pipeline. Technically, our 11th anniversary of the podcast. This is our 11th anniversary episode. So, actually, it's not even technically. We just passed 11 years of doing this podcast. Concert Pipeline's been around for a lot longer than that, starting way back in like '04 or something like that. So over 20 years since Concert Pipeline was created as an idea, but we're in our 11th year. And this year, we're likely hit our 500th episode if we keep going strong. So excited to look forward to that. I have been off for the past 5 or 6 weeks of the podcast, taking a break during the winter as I started doing last year, when it just became a lot to do the podcast and really invest myself in my duck hunting hobby as well. So I've been focusing on duck hunting this season, and we're in the final weeks of the duck hunting season. We are getting down near the end. I will say that it hasn't been the most productive season for me. Let me talk about that in just a second. First, let me let you know who we have on the program today. We have Steve Smith of the Vapors. You know them from their song Turning Japanese. They have a new album that's coming out February 28th called Wasp in a Jar. And it's a really good album. I dig it. I'm into it. I like what they're doing with the sound. We're going to talk to Steve about that and about his whole career here in just a few minutes. He's going to be dropping in. Also, after the interview, we have the Bottle Rock Napa Valley lineup announcement coming. So stay tuned for that. It's going to be hot off the presses, dropping today. So excited to dive into that in the music news, as well as some other things going on in the music world. But yeah, again, let me catch up on what's been going on in my life the past 5 or 6 weeks. Again, the duck hunting season has been full-fledged. I've had a couple of good hunts where I shot 5 or 6 birds. I have not had a limit of 7 ducks this season. I couldn't get that seventh one on the 2 hunts that I got 6 birds. I just couldn't get to that seventh one, and so it didn't happen. But I had fun nonetheless. I've been more focused on making sure that this was a productive and growing season for my family, and being my dog Navy. She's my chocolate lab that I've been getting out, and she did really well on the hunts that I've been bringing her out on, getting better and better over the course of the season. One hunt even retrieving 20 birds for me and my 2 buddies. Really, really awesome and impressive work that she's been doing. So I'm super proud of that. I'm also proud that I've been able to get my son, Atticus, out on 3 hunts with me to observe. So that's an achievement in my books. And my daughter, Fern, came out with me for 1 hunt with my stepbrother, Matt. And so being able to include my family in this hobby has been really incredible for me. So I've enjoyed that, and I've enjoyed getting out, and I've put a lot of work into hunting, and just haven't done as well as I usually do. In terms of actually hitting the birds and bagging them up. There have been some challenges that have been outside of my control, and some that have been in my control that I just didn't shoot as well as I should have. So learning opportunities and growth opportunities, but the big wins have been in terms of my family getting out hunting with me. And I've been chasing a pintail. That's a type of duck. That's the one I want to get this season, and I didn't get one last season. So it's been a couple seasons since I've been able to shoot a pintail. And there've been a couple of opportunities, but they are a weary duck. So not a lot of opportunities, but I still have a couple of hunts left in me. Still time to get a pintail, possibly, and be able to mount it and put it on my wall. And And then we'll see how the season shakes out. I'll update in future episodes what that looks like. But that's been a lot of my focus, and paying attention to my kids, being there for them, doing things with them, and just enjoying the holidays as well. As a lot of bands take it easy during the holidays, don't do a lot of touring or press. So I figure take a couple weeks off myself and not overdo it, and then come back in and start rocking out some interviews, which is what we're doing today with Steve Smith from the Vapors. Again, they have a new album called Wasp in a Jar that's coming out at the end of February, and have given it several listens, and went back in their catalog, and it's just fun. It's a new feel for the Vapors from the music that they were making back in like 1979, 1980, and we'll talk about how those relationship progressed and kind of rekindled, and all of that with Steve here in just a moment. So why don't we go ahead and bring Steve Smith in on the program and have a good little chat. Hey there, Steve. How you doing?
I'm good. I can hear you. Brilliant. Straight away. I've been having so many issues with this.
Hey, we got video, we got audio. What more do you need, right? So
I've got it all.
We got it all. We got it all. How are things for you today? And you're in England, right?
Yeah, I'm in England. It's been cold and snowy, but it's sunny, and we're on our way to spring.
Get rid of the snow. Do you like the snow? Do you like that having that weather around England, or are you just more of a spring guy? Like, hey, warm it up around here.
I'm all right. I'm all right with the snow as long as I'm sort of inside in the warm.
Yeah,
If I'm going out, I want it to be warm, preferably.
You like looking at it, from from the window, but
from afar.
Not outdoors making snowmen or anything. So
no. Those days are long gone.
Fair. Well, thanks for taking the time to chat today. I'm looking forward to our conversation and diving in with you into your music and the new album with the Vapors, which we'll get to, and all of that. I like starting kind of at the beginning, really. So why don't you tell me a little bit about kind of what music was on in your household as a kid? What were your parents playing? What was around you when you were younger?
Well, we only had like one or two channels when I was growing up in the UK, but there was a few music programs. I mean, a lot of the stuff's still out there, and programs called Ready, Steady, Go and Top of the Pops, and they'd have bands on all the time. So my first kind of exposure to bands was on those programs, and sometimes there'd be a variety show, and there'd be all sorts of different things, and then there'd be a band. But I very, very quickly learned that I love the Beatles.
Yeah.
And, I still do to this day. But, I was about 6 years old, or 7 maybe, when I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You came out. And God, I love those records so much.
Yeah, I'm sure it was incredible, and just a part of the culture, especially being, from England, growing up with, around that time, right? Like, I mean, was it just everybody was into the Beatles? It was just part of your DNA?
Yeah, they were incredibly popular, them and the Rolling Stones. But yeah, there was quite a lot of music around. My mother was a piano player, but not a professional one or anything. But she played the piano a little bit. And yeah, there was music in the house. It wasn't particularly the sort of music that I liked. But when the bands came on the TV, I was thinking, yeah, this is what I like.
Yeah, yeah, and you started out as a guitarist. When did you get your first guitar?
Well, when I started off playing, I had piano lessons from the age of about 7 for about 4 years, maybe.
Mm-hmm. Gave you that foundation.
And we have grades. They have a grade thing in the UK, and I got up to grade 5, which is kind of just above the middle, not brilliant, but okay. But I'd been watching these bands, and I was thinking, yeah, I want to play the guitar. So I think my mum and dad got me an acoustic guitar when I was about 12. And because I was like, I don't want an acoustic guitar, I want an electric guitar, obviously.
Yeah.
But I know you can have the acoustic guitar, and if you play it for the next 6 months, we'll buy you an electric guitar for Christmas. I think it must have been Christmas when I was 12 or 13. I got my first electric guitar.
Yeah, yeah, and like, did you grasp onto it right away? You wanted to
Yeah,
be,
my cousins. I mean, my cousins are a big part of my musical story too. I have two brothers who are cousins, and they showed me a few
yeah,
chords. They showed me a
yeah,
few chords. They were already in bands. They were a little bit older than me. They were already in bands, and in fact, one of my cousins sold my mum and dad the electric guitar that I had. It was my first electric guitar. So they showed me stuff, and the rest of it, I just watched and looked and learned.
and you had a covers band with those cousins, right? Like,
Yes, yes, that's when I started playing the bass.
yeah,
When
yeah,
I started playing the bass, they turned up at my place of work, and they had this covers band. And they turned up at my place of work, and I was just working in like a department store in the, on incoming goods, really a menial job. And they said, "Oh, let's go for lunch." We went for lunch, and they said, "Right, how much are you earning at this job?" I told them. They went, "Right, we're going to pay you more than that to come and play bass guitar in our covers band." And I was like, "Well, I've never played the bass guitar," and they were like, "No, you can learn." I was like, "Well, I haven't got a bass guitar or an amp." They went, "No, we're going to get that for you." And I was just, well, there's no choice really, was there? It's like stay in this dingy department store basement or just go and play a covers band. And that's how I learned how to play the bass, really. But
yeah,
I didn't so much learn how to play the bass as learn a lot of very good bass lines from a lot of big hits. And
yeah,
that's my complete introduction, was learning things like One of These Nights and by the Eagles, and oh, What a Night by Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. Like these like really great bass lines. It was such fun to play. No, yeah, that was my start of being a bass player. And I
yeah,
did that. We did that for maybe I did 3, 4 years at that,
yeah.
and we were working every weekend. And we rehearsed as well. So by the end of it, I sort of knew how to do it on the bass.
So, what sort of gigs were you playing during that time with that band?
Oh, well, we have things. I think do you have Legions, American Legion, or something for
I,
service people who
yeah, I
have
think
somewhere?
yeah,
We
I
have a
think
thing called
that's
we have things called the British Legion, and there's kind of a social club, cheap drinks and entertainment.
yeah,
Um, we did those and working man's clubs and even occasionally bingo halls. We did a weekend cruise on a boat once. All sorts of really weird things. But
yeah.
we were that was our job. That's how we earned our money. We earned enough to live, and it was we had a lot of fun.
And did you know at that point that that's what you wanted to do for your life? Obviously, it beat working at the department store, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
but did you know
oh,
that you wanted to make music and kind of be in that world?
yeah, yeah. I mean, actually, I just got to go back to this. I don't know if you know. Do you know the band called After the Fire?
Sounds familiar. I'm not sure if I know him offhand.
They had a song called, I think, Der Kommissar, which was a big hit in America. Anyway, completely incidentally, one of the cousins became the guitar player for After the Fire, and they had a hit in America, did a tour with Bon Jovi and all sorts. But sorry,
Yeah,
go back to
yeah,
your question.
yeah. So knowing that you wanted to make music for your life was kind of around that time, right?
Well, yeah, I was working, I was earning enough money to live on, and I was thinking, yeah, I quite enjoy this. It's much better than staying in one place all the time. I'm seeing a lot of the country.
Yeah, and the Clash was a big influence on you, kind of making that decision as well, right? Getting to see them
Yeah.
live, and yeah, and kind of tell me about that.
Well, yeah, music had got a bit kind of proggy in the UK at that time, and very middle of the road, and punk just came along really. I bought the first Sex Pistols single, and I really liked that, and I thought, okay, I was just thinking, yeah, it's great, but could I listen to a whole load of this? But yeah, then I went to see the Clash, and I found out since it was the opening night of the White Riot tour. And yeah, I just walked out of there and I thought, wow, that was just blew me away. The energy in the crowd, the energy on the stage, the fact that it was like, yeah, I could do that. I could be up there doing. And it was a real inspiration. It was all of a sudden you didn't have to practice for 2 hours every day and learn all these scales and be this fantastic, brilliant musician. It kind of democratized it for everyone. You know, 3 chords, you can be in a band.
Yeah, yeah. And so you were in a band called the Absolute, kind of when when the opportunity came around for the Vapors, right?
Yeah, well, no, the Absolute had finished, and I was playing drums in the Absolute.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
bit of a different thing. It's the only time I ever played drum. I've never owned a drum kit. Right.
How,
I just
how did
played
you pick
drum.
up playing drums then? How did you pick that up?
Well, I'd always said, like, apparently the guitar player in the band said, look, I've heard you like bashing around on other people's drum kits. We've got this gig where the drummer was barred from the pub. Like, they had a gig in a bar, and the drummer wasn't allowed in the bar. And he said, "Look, can you just come down and just bash about with us? We'll have a rehearsal first." And so I had a rehearsal, and then I did a gig, and then then I was the drummer in the band after that. It didn't
Yeah,
last very long. But yeah, it's kind of legendary Guildford band.
yeah.
Because it was right. It was right at the very beginning of punk. It was must have been one of Guildford's first punk bands for sure.
Yeah. Did you ever play, I mean, not did you ever play drums again, like really after that, or did you just put it aside when kind of the
Yeah,
Vapors
do
took?
you know what? By the time I finished with the Absolute, I was kind of finished with drums. It kind of fascinated me before that.
Yeah.
It really, actually, when I was a kid, I used to hit biscuit tins with pens and like do some kind of drumming thing. I remembered that, and that was when I was really young. So I'd kind of always had a bit of a fascination, but after not even that long, probably about a year of doing it, I thought, no, I'm done with drums now.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about joining the Vapors, because so they existed kind of in a sense before you joined, but it was kind of ongoing rotation of people. Like they were kind of finalizing their lineup. They weren't really what they ended up being until you kind
No,
of got
no.
in
So
and right.
the original band was, well, for a start, the guitar player was very much a sort of heavy rock guitar solo-y kind of guy, which made it sound completely different. The drummer was a lot more kind of less smooth, not so smooth as Howard. Very much more jagged and broken up drums. We ended up some of the same songs. Some of the songs from the first lineup made it onto Nuclear Days, but not all. Some of them did. So that lineup was when it was around for, I don't know, 9 months or a year, and
Yeah.
then people just started dropping away, and Dave uh, just went around and basically cherry picked the people that he wanted in the band, because not only had his band kind of split up, but my band had the Absolute split up, and Ed and Howard were in a band called Ellery Bop, and they just split up. So it was kind of quite fortuitous in a way that we all found ourselves at a loose end at the same time. And Dave said, "Well, let's do some rehearsals and do a gig." And yeah, here we are. However many years later, it's a lot.
Yeah. And you found out the day after your audition that you got the gig, right? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I'm pretty sure they didn't audition anyone else. I kind of knew the band because some friends of mine had a little PA system, and I'd been helping them. Just to phone up, do you want some work? We need some help with the PA. So I'd been doing that, and I'd seen the Vapors quite a few times, and I thought, well, this is a proper band, with proper songs, really great band. I'd love to get in this band. And then all of a sudden the bass player left, and I was straight in there. I was like, Dave, I'm not actually a drummer, Dave, I'm a bass player. And come and give me a go, because I know the songs. And yeah, I just went and auditioned, and you went, yeah, you've got the job. The only problem is the drummers just left. So
Yeah. Yeah.
within 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 a day or two of me joining the band, the drummer had left. But that was mainly because his big mate in the band was the bass player.
Okay. Gotcha.
And
Yeah.
then
And
that's when we actually found Howard, but that was easy because he'd been in a band with Ed, and me and Dave both knew he was a great drummer, so that was pretty easy.
yeah. Yeah. And as you look back on kind of nuclear days, I mean, it's been like 46 years now. I mean, like, what are your memories of that? What is that? Where did that album hold, for you today? Looking back so far at this point.
Well, I still really love it. I mean, we were kind of in awe when we recorded it because we were just like four kids from Guildford, and here we are in these big expensive studios with these big expensive producers. Um, but Vic Smith was very, very good with us, and he kind of nursed us through the process. And I had a remaster of it the other day, and I thought, yeah, one of my slight issues with it was I'd like to have heard guitars a little bit louder on Nuclear Days. Turning
Yeah.
Japanese is great. The guitars on that are great. They're right up there. But some of the others, and the remaster, they've addressed that a bit, and the guitars sound louder. So yeah, for me, it still stands up. The songs on it are some of Dave's best songs.
Yeah. And with turning Japanese, did everything change kind of when that song like was number one in Australia? It was, it hit the UK charts. It just spread to the US. Like, what was that experience like for you when turning Japanese kind of, you know, took the world by storm a little bit?
Yeah, it was really like that. It just caught fire, it just took off. And then we just followed that song around the world for a bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What
But yeah, I love that song. It's we wouldn't be sitting here talking now without that song, that's for sure.
And the cool thing about it also, which is that I mean, the band would kind of obviously parted ways, shortly thereafter, but that song stuck with you, forever. I mean, through Shakespearos, you play that song with the Shakespearos also,
Yeah,
so it didn't go away. That's not a lot of that doesn't happen a lot, I think, for bands that kind of separate, that kind of leave in the past, and even if they come back together, they don't have that path of continually playing that hit that kind of is such a part of them. So tell me that experience for you of kind of keeping that part of the set with the Shakespearos.
well, it's always a very popular song, and I always say to Dave, that one could get you out of a bit of a hole sometimes, and people are not dancing and that, and just pull that one out. I said, people love that song, Dave. People love it, and the Shakespearos have gone to Portugal on numerous occasions, and the people love that song. They do.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. And so when the Vapors kind of separated, tell me about that next chapter for you. Did you immediately get into kind of engineering and producing with other bands? Like where did that leave you?
I didn't. I played in a rockabilly covers band for a bit, but I didn't join them. I just kind of did gigs with them. Then I formed a band with three of my closest friends called Sheep Dispute, which is a kind of art rock funk kind of thing. We got lots of John. We did two John Peel sessions, and also we did John Peel's live at the ICA week. He was he was massively into us. We toured. We did a tour with Bruce Foxton. We did about five Radio One sessions all in all. So
Yeah,
we got quite close with that
yeah.
band. And then after that, I joined a kind of rap rock band where I played
Uh,
keyboard.
First, right? It was called First.
One ST, yes,
One
yes, yeah,
ST, one ST. Okay,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And that was with
We
Mark
and we
Charles also, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and we actually got onto Yo MTV Raps in the UK. I can't find it, but me and Mark got interviewed and we kind of mimed a track on Yo MTV. So that was getting close. They got quite close as well. And then But about 1986, I'd gone to a music venue working for a friend of mine's band, and he'd said, "Look, can you just, you know what we sound like? You must be able to work. It's a simple mixer. Come and do the sound for us." So I went to a venue with him and did the sound, and then basically my life changed. The guy said, "Oh, uh, have you got much work at the moment?" I was probably thinking, "Well, I haven't got any work doing this." And he said, "Do you want more work?" And I just sort of went, "Yeah, okay." And he said, "Start on Saturday." And then I started doing sound engineering. And that took me to Russia, to 5 weeks in America with a band. And I did that basically for about 20 years. And
Wow. How long were you in Russia?
2 weeks, it was still communist when we were there. It was pre Berlin Wall falling. So it was
Wow.
still commie. It was bizarre, strangest experience of my life, that was.
What? Tell me about it. Like, what was? I mean, what was the environment like? I mean, how are you? How did you get on there? Like, what was that like?
Well, I was working doing I was actually no, I was doing the sound and managing a band called World Domination Enterprises, and a group of students in Vilnius in Lithuania had decided that they were going to promote World Domination Enterprises in Russia, and they'd gone and got all the necessary permissions and set up. I think, yeah, it was 2 weeks worth of gigs in Russia for the band, and World Domination were like a squat band, like no money, penniless urchins, and all of a sudden they went to Russia and they were treated like they were the Rolling Stones. It was unbelievable. From the moment people, from the moment you got into someone's vision
Yeah.
until the moment you left their field of vision, they stared at you the whole time because your clothes were so radically different, and it was just bizarre. And it was so cold. It was so cold, and
Oh,
there was snow the whole time we were there. We travelled around on the night train. We
yeah.
didn't have a bus or anything. No, we just had guitars and a couple of
Mhm.
drums, and we do the gig. And then at the end of the night, we go and get on a night train and travel about 400 miles through the night. It was a bizarre experience.
Yeah. I bet you weren't disappointed to get out of there when that was done, huh?
No, it was a bit weird. Yeah, it. Yeah, it got really basically the only person who spoke English was our translator. So the
Wow.
only people we ever really talked to were each other.
Right.
And there was only three in the band and me, so there was just like this little group of us.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
So yeah,
And
sound engineering took me on some to some brilliant places, and I kind of made a point of only working with bands that I really got on with as people. You know, I was going to have a good time with these people, and B, yeah, I have to like the music as well. So if those two criteria are met, I'm on the bus on there.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And so 2016 comes around. Talking about back with the Vapors at this point. And uh, Mike Bennett, I think, was you were talking to Mike Bennett, who runs Polyfest, and he was pushing you to get the Vapors together to play.
Yes, yeah,
You
Mike.
and you
Mike's
played.
now the Mike's now the front man in the Blockheads.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah,
and
he's really great at it. Yeah, I mean, I was really surprised to have heard, but he's really good. Yeah, but
yeah,
Mike was promoting the Polyfest, and he was basically phoning me up and going, "Look, you have to get the Vapors back together, Steve. You have to get the Vapors." And in the end, I just went, "Look, all right, stop phoning me up, Mike. Stop phoning me, and I'll ask them." And we toyed with the idea of maybe doing something. You know, we were on, not that we weren't ever not on speaking terms, but we were communicating with each other a bit more. Me, Dave, and Ed were speaking a bit. And I messaged both of them and said, "Look, I'm doing this, but we're like the backing band for a load of people at this charity gig. Do you fancy getting up and doing Turning Japanese?" And within half an hour, they both went, "Yeah, we'll do it." So then we had to do it. We didn't
yeah,
rehearse. We didn't rehearse or anything.
No,
Because
just kind of a,
I've been playing in the Shakespearos for years, so I still didn't need to rehearse really. And Dave and Ed just got up and did their thing, and the react someone videoed it on their phone, and the reaction was through the roof. Really, it was got a really great response. And from that, 4 gigs came along where a promoter said to us, I'll give you 4 gigs in Dublin, London, Liverpool, and Wolverhampton, which is in the Midlands.
Mhm.
And that was initially all we were going to do. It was like, yeah, it'd be fun to do a gig, be fun to play the old songs again. And the initial thought of it was we'd just do those 4 gigs. But again, it went so well and we got such a good response. We just we were very open minded about it, and if gigs came in, we'd do them, and then more gigs started, and then we started doing more and more gigs, and we were thinking, well, actually, this is quite good fun. We're having a really good time. You're getting paid. We're playing, loads of gigs. Let's just keep going as long as people keep coming to the gigs, really. And at
Yeah.
the moment, people are still coming to the gigs, luckily.
Yeah, yeah. And so at what point did making an album kind of come into the conversation you made together, and so when did that come about, and was it a natural kind of feeling getting back in the studio
Well,
together?
well, no. Well, what happened was we had some songs. We had a few songs. We weren't really thinking about doing an album. And then someone came to it. We played at the Mercury Lounge in New York. And a guy came along. I always call him our mysterious benefactor because I still have no idea who he is. But we played a few new songs at the gig. In fact, we played 3 nights there and we played a few different ones over the 3 nights. And he approached our manager at the end of the gig and he said, look, I want to hear these songs on record. And so he funded our first album basically altogether. He funded that album.
This mystery guy that you don't know who he is, like,
No, all I know is his name is Greg. That's
okay.
all. He didn't want any credit on the album. Didn't want. He didn't want the money back. He
Wow.
was. He was just. I'm going to invest in you. I want to hear these songs. So that was really easy for us because we had a budget and we didn't have to find the money. And that
Yeah.
was the main reason that album got done. If he hadn't approached us, we either would not have done that album or it would have been a very different album. So that was how we did that one. And this one, we were approached by a friend in America, someone who I do know who it is, and he started saying, "Look, I've heard again. We were playing a few new songs, and he went, look, I've got a little bit of money. I could fund maybe the recording of an album." And he basically started the ball rolling on this most recent album. So it's always been it's never been our plan. It's just outside forces have come and said, hey, you guys need to make an album now. And so we've just gone and done it.
Yeah, and so with the new album Wasp in a Jar, I mean, the album is really solid, and and I, as I'm listening to this music and going back on your own music, a couple things stick out to me, because it very much, like, it doesn't feel like an 80s band, quote unquote, or anything like that. And I know you like don't like being labeled as an 80s band or anything, right? But you were part of that moment with turning Japanese.
Yeah,
I think is a good way to look at it. But your both your albums together and Monster in a Jar feel very independent and very fresh, and you can go out and play these new songs, and and not be lumped into that 80s kind of vibe. Where do you kind of sit with that now? I mean, I know you do like the 80s tours,
yeah,
Lost 80s tour, Cruel World,
yeah,
that sort of thing. Like, where's that balance for you? I'm curious. That's what kind of, was sticking in my head as I was diving into your music.
yeah. Well, it's not really anything we sit down and think about or plan. It's just we got offered 20 shows to do the 80s thing in the summer, and it's like, wow, yeah, that would be great fun. That would be brilliant laugh. And it's 20 shows, hopefully we can make a little bit of money. And
Mhm.
we basically, if we can do the gig, we'll do it. It doesn't matter if it's an 80s gig, a festival, a mod festival, a punk festival, anything, pop festival, we'll play anywhere that'll have us.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I'm sure you like playing the gigs where you can have like longer sets also and play a lot of the new music.
Yeah, yeah. It's a balance though. It's a
Yeah.
balance. We did 680 shows last summer. But we've only done one of those tours before, so I
Yeah.
think we're definitely looking forward to doing one this summer for sure.
Oh, for sure. What was Cruel
But,
World
but, but,
Festival
but
like?
sorry,
Oh, oh, go ahead. No, you go first.
what was I going to say? Oh.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I was going to ask, what was Cruel World Festival like playing at the Rose Bowl? And I mean that must have been a pretty epic show, right?
Yeah, I still felt like a complete fanboy when
Yeah.
I was there. It was just because like I was saying to you earlier, I was completely obsessed by the Beatles at the age of about 7. And I've always been a fanboy. I've always loved music and I've always consumed music. I've spent a lot of my money on recorded music over the years. So to be in the same backstage area as some of the people whose records I had in my record collection, I was kind of, oh wow, this is really amazing. And
Yeah.
the whole experience is we've done some we've done the 80s tour, and that's up to like 10,000 people we've done on that sometimes. It's a pretty big crowd. This
Yeah.
was like 35,000. It's
Oh, yeah.
far and away the biggest crowd we've ever played to. And it was, yeah, it was just it was an honour to be there. It was great to hang out and see the other bands. I went to see the Gang of Four and ABC,
Oh,
Iggy.
yeah.
It was such a great, the backstage caravan was full of high quality drinks, I have to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just wow, look at all this stuff.
They took good care of you.
Yeah. It's just a bit of we've done mod festivals and punk festivals, 80s things, but this was a different level for us, and it was great because of some lovely person stood there with their phone and videoed the whole gig, and I'm eternally grateful to him, and put it on YouTube. So I did go back and watch it, and I thought "Wow, we played as good as we could have. We
Yeah.
really, I think, one of our best performances ever, and we did it on the biggest gig we've ever done. So it was really pleasing for me.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I was in awe of everyone, obviously,
Oh, for
backstage.
sure.
Oh my God, look, there's Iggy.
It's right there. And what a huge venue.
Susie, it's Susie. Oh God.
Everyone is there. And yeah, I'm going to the Rose Bowl in a couple months to see AC/DC actually,
Ah, wicked, wicked.
which will be, and I've pit tickets, so I'll be like, I'm like gonna be there, I'm just pretty excited about it. I've never seen AC/DC live, and so I'm like, this just probably gonna be the last opportunity. So
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I saw them the first time, the second time they came to England, which was about, oh God, about 1978 or something. And that's quite a long time ago, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
little bit. So that'll be cool. And so Wasp and the Jargon. I mean, I want to call out a couple things, on it that I thought were cool. And I guess I'll start with this a little bit of a spoiler, maybe. And if you don't want that out there, let me know. But like, I think you end with "Together Again," which I think is just a nice button. Coming from together to together again, and then like and I'm looking at I'm listening to it and I'm like, ooh, this is a 10-minute track, and and I'm like, you do this great thing that like, albums did, years ago with the bonus track. And I just think it's so cool that you did that. So,
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Yeah, 'cause it was a bit tricky to know what to do because we had the 12 songs that were on the album, and then we had Together Again and basically two versions of the same song. And so it just didn't seem right to just have these two, and it was just like, does it go Together Again has to go last on the sleeve, on the box, because I think
Yeah.
that's important. So you can't have proud, then Together Again, because that's just dark. And then I just went, oh, you remember those hidden tracks there's a Nirvana album, isn't there? There's a hidden track. There's
Oh,
about
oh yeah.
it's
Yeah.
8 minutes of silence, and then there's a hidden track. And
Yeah.
when I first heard it, it really made me jump out of my skin.
Yeah.
But
Cause you
yeah, it
think
was
you're done
just
with the album and then and then you're like, not done yet.
we couldn't really work out how to fit it in, and then that was kind of decided that that was a good way of doing that. But trying to explain it to the mastering engineer was fun.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And your new single "Hit the Ground Running," first track on the album. Tell me kind of about pulling that out as a single. How did that come together?
Yeah, that was a funny one because I went away for a couple of weeks to Portugal for a holiday in the summer, and I came back and the guys had that kind of riff and a kind of an idea about it, and they said, "Oh, let's see what happens." And then it's just what happens when Dave brings a song in is he writes a lot of songs, and he loves them all equally like his children. He doesn't have favourites. All of his songs, whereas I know that some of them are more equal than others, and some songs just take off. And within like 10 minutes, we had that completely sorted out, that song, and it was
Yeah,
it just seemed like the obvious choice to open the album and also to sort of announce the album in a way.
yeah, yeah, for sure. Carry on. At the beginning to me feels Irishy, like kind of like flogging Molly a little bit at the beginning. I get this like flogging Molly feel. I like how that kind of came together. It's a good feel in the album, I want to say.
No, nice one, thank you.
Yeah. Uh, and so as we look forward, I mean, tell me about kind of touring plans. What are your plans with the to kind of tour behind the album or play shows? I know you have
Well,
the
we're just
Lost 80s.
yeah, we're doing a few shows in the UK, well, basically in England, um, next month when the album comes out. Well, in fact, in March. The album comes out at the end of February, on the 28th of February. And we're doing 5 or 6 UK shows in March, including London, Brighton, Bristol, Sheffield, and Manchester. Then we're doing there's a Scarborough, which is in the north east of England. We're doing a punk festival there at the end of March. April and May we have 10 shows, I think it is, with Big Country in
Mhm.
the UK. Then we've got a little bit of time off and to the Lost 80s next summer, which is between 20 and 24 shows, so 6 weeks of that. Then we come back and we'll have to have a rest because we're all old. And then hopefully we're doing a dual headline tour with another band from the 80s at the end of this year. And then we're going to do a fan convention in March 2026 at Portmeirion in North Wales, where we've done a few. It's a special place. You know the TV show The Prisoner? It's an old show about a
I think
guy.
so.
It's a really interesting show about a guy who's imprisoned in this really kind of surreal place, and that's Portmeirion. It was put together by an architect 100 years ago. It's an incredible place. We've done a few fan conventions there. We make it a 2 day event. We play 2 sets. You have a band playing the night before, and we meet all the fans, and that's as far ahead as we've planned at the moment. So spring
That's a
20.
that's a good amount. That's a good amount of
Yeah,
planning ahead.
yeah, it is. It's over a year, so
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
still got a year left in us.
Uh, Yeah, for sure. Do you have other songs that didn't make the album, or that you're kind of holding for another album, or do you feel pretty complete with that album at this point?
Yeah, I mean, what we tend to do, well, the last 2 albums, anyway, is we've had 20 songs to choose from, and we've chosen 14.
Yeah.
And the other 6 are like basically Yeah, I mean, we could make another album, but the reason they're not on the albums now is because we didn't deem them good enough to be on the album. So we tend to just, we've definitely wiped the slate clean of everything now. Anything we do now going forward will be completely new. But Dave's very prolific. He's always like, he's always into his phone singing bits of songs and bits of lyrics, and long
Yeah.
may it continue.
Yeah. And you're happy with the dynamic of the band? Everything feels good. It feels,
Yeah, yeah, we just like, we have a good time. We always have fun. We make sure we always have fun. And we keep everyone keeps everybody else, you know, happy. And yeah, yeah, we have a good time all the time. We do.
yeah. That's awesome. Well, Steve, thank you for taking the time and thank you for sharing the music. I mean, like it's again, it's just it's really fresh. It's enjoyable. It's upbeat. It's I really dig your new album and I'm glad you guys got back together to to make some more music. You know.
Brilliant. Thank you so much.
Yeah. You have a good rest of your day. Okay.
Yeah, cheers now. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thanks, Steve. Bye.
Bye bye.
That was my interview with Steve of the Vapors here on Concert Pipeline. And that takes us to the final segment of the program, the music news. Right. As promised, we're going to drop the Bottle Rock lineup, which I'm going to go through and kind of process it as I'm reading it. It was just announced as of this recording 1 minute ago, and so we're sharing it. It's hot off the presses. This is I always get excited about Bottle Rock. I'm from Napa. I used to be able to bike to Bottle Rock all 3 days and go and just enjoy it, whether I had media passes or I was just going for fun, which both have happened. And now I'm like 40-ish minutes away from Bottle Rock, so not super far and totally able to go. If I so choose, and maybe cover it if Bottle Rock will have me. So we're going to try and set up some interviews with some of the bands that are playing, maybe, and talk about it ahead of time. But I'm going to go through the list just as it's presented here and talk about some of the artists that are playing. Green Day, one of the headliners, May 25th, 3rd to 25th is Bottle Rock for this year in Napa. Green Day is one of the headliners. I saw them this past year in September at Oracle Arena or Stadium, whatever they're calling it, where the Giants play. And I was in the pit. I was three people back. It was an incredible performance where they played Dookie and American Idiot in its entirety, as well as a bunch of hits from Saviors and all their hits outside of that. It was an incredible show. So I would love to see Green Day again, of course. I'm a big fan, but I also have the feeling like nothing's going to, reach the pinnacle of that show that I saw them this past year. So I would love to see them again. But that's not selling it alone for me. Justin Timberlake. Okay. Here he puts on a good show. Can't say I'm a Justin Timberlake fan, but I don't hate the guy. He's okay. Noah Khan. Saw Noah Khan in the past year or so. Also, I took my daughter and one of her friends to see him, and I got her tickets for her birthday actually. So I did see him this past year as well, and he put on a really good show. I got stuck in the parking lot after his show for 2 hours, which was ridiculous. But the show was good. So, and I know I told my daughter he might be playing, and so she's pretty excited about that. Okay. Benson Boone, Cruan, Ben, Cage the Elephant. I'd like to see Cage the Elephant live. I don't think I've ever seen them live. They would be fun to see. Ice Cube, that'd be cool. Sublime. Rome is no longer in the band, but I saw Sublime with Rome play Bottle Rock many years ago and met Rome as he was walking through the crowd once. Got a picture with him. Sublime's a cool band. They put on a fun show, so that'll be cool. Cascade, Revolution. I got into Revolution a handful of years ago when I was supposed to interview them, and then it fell through, so that didn't happen. but would be cool to see them live. Karen Leon, don't know who they are. Goose, I've heard many good things about Goose, and uh, and they would probably put on a good show. Sophie Turker, Public Enemy would be fun. Four Non Blondes, Remy Wolf, E40, Flow Rider. Telio, Mon Laferte. I don't know some of these bands, so I'm just breezing by them. Lawrence, Lawrence is fun. Big fan of Lawrence, actually. I got a chance to go to their VIP event this a couple months ago, also when they were in town, and I had a chance to see them, but they were playing the same night as Something Corporate. So I had tickets to Something Corporate that I wasn't going to miss. So I went to the VIP event and then ran from there to the Something Corporate show, a mile away down the road in San Francisco or something. It was an incredible experience. But I've interviewed them when they played Bottle Rock a couple years ago. So maybe I'll be able to get them an interview with them again at Bottle Rock this year. That would be very cool. Beach Bunny, The Story So Far, Dope Lemon, Alan Stone. I'm a fan of Alan Stone. Never gotten a chance to interview him, though I wish I had because he seems so fun. But I saw him live in Napa once, and then also he played on the Pen and the Piano tour of Andrew McMahon and Friends. And he's just great. He's a lot of fun, so that would be cool. Sharon Van Etten, the Attachment Theory, and the Attachment Theory drama, Lauren Mayberry, Robbie Krieger of The Doors, The War and Treaty, G Love, and Jonathan Frankenreiter. G Love is cool. Interviewed him many years ago. He's a lot of fun, and in his bands, La Lam, Balavs, Vacations, 2 Feet, Kate Hudson. Kate Hudson. Oh, okay, that's interesting. So that's one that intrigues me. I have this interesting, I don't know, I'm very intrigued by actors that become musicians and kind of play music also. I was kind of friends for a little bit with Juliette Lewis through her band when she was making music, and she really put it all out on the stage and was a great live performer. So I'm interested in Kate Hudson and what she'll bring to Bottle Rock. Ian Dior, Mallrat, Bad Nerves, BBY, Eggy, Mixmaster Mike. Okay, cool. Anders Osborne, Grace Bowers, and Hodgepodge. Heard good things about her. Balo Brigade, Chaparral, the National Parks. Okay, and then bands get smaller from there. Let me see if there's anybody else. Moon Alice, of course, always playing Bottle Rock. The Alive, I interviewed them. They're some cool kids, and they always play Bottle Rock too. Weekend Youth, Surf is one of the two guys in Weekend Youth. They're a Napa band, and I used to know him a little bit when I lived in Napa through his bands. Silverado Pickups, they're one that play Bottle Rock all the time, and Napa Valley Youth Symphony. So to close it all out, of course. So a couple of other bands mixed in there, but that's the main lineup. So 3-day tickets go live on January 14th, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific. You can get early access by joining the SMS list. And then, of course, a couple of days later, after they sell those, they'll sell individual day tickets and announce the lineup for individual days, I'm sure. So exciting times with the Bottle Rock lineup. A couple other stories to wind out the program before we wrap. First one is about Ringo Starr. Actually, I don't know what this story is. That's interesting. I clicked on it and I didn't. Starr's semi-spoken, shoulder-shrugging vocals sit well with these jaunty but wry earworms. Ringo Starr sets sail for uncharted waters on a languid country album. Look up. So Ringo Starr's 84, and he's been slowing down a little bit, but he sometimes pushes forward as well. And he's produced by T-Bone Burnett. He wrote or co-wrote 9 of the 11 songs. Whether it's, let's see here, when does this album come out? I'm not sure if I know when the album, it looks like the album's out now, actually. So if you're interested in some country music with Ringo Starr, you could check that out. Guitar Center launched an initiative to replace instruments that were lost in the Los Angeles wildfires, which is really great. A lot of people have been giving of themselves, and Red Cross obviously is a good place to go if you want to donate. Because there's a lot of help that's needed. But the Guitar Center is accepting applications for one-time grants to replace instruments or gear for Los Angeles-based musicians and music programs. And the Los Angeles experienced a total of 5 concurrent wildfires in several neighborhoods, forced the evacuation of 180,000 residents. The 24 confirmed deaths, 16 missing people, and this initiative from Guitar Center is running until February 28th. They've confirmed that they'll support musicians and music programs affected by the fires. In order to qualify, musicians and programs applying will have to meet several criteria, being LA based, and provide proof of loss or address, and will have to set up an account to apply. A grant does not offer cash. Instead, it will only replace instruments or gear. And there's a $1,500 cap for each applicant, but that's still a very generous gesture. Okay. Liam Gallagher has responded to leak Oasis reunion tour set list, and he shared whether he has plans to add the odd song from his solo discography into the mix. Oasis confirmed that they would be making their highly anticipated return to the stage last August, confirming a string of huge stadium gates in the UK and Ireland to take place in 2025. And there a lot of speculation about which members would be joining for the shows, and fans are also questioning which songs from the would make the set list. And there's songs that began circulating on Twitter or X, some fans claiming it to be the leaked set list for the upcoming gigs. And that set list made its way to Liam Gallagher, and he replied that it's not far off from real. And it looks like a bunch from What's the Story, Morning Glory, which is pretty cool, of course. Champagne Supernova, Don't Look Back in Anger, Morning Glory, whatever, Stand By Me, She's Electric, Cast No Shadow. Looks like a pretty cool Lila, pretty cool list overall. And so he says it's not far off. People start getting excited about that Oasis's reunion. All right, Taking Back Sundays, Mark O'Connell quits the band after 24 years. He says it wasn't an easy decision and wasn't entirely my own. He cited creative differences and personal struggles as the reasons for his departure, while teasing what's to come next. Mark, we talked to Mark when we interviewed Taking Back Sunday a handful of years ago. So I've met him probably a couple of times over the years. And that's really too bad, because we've been with the band for a long time. And the group underwent numerous lineup changes before landing on Adam Lazzara, John Nolan, Eddie Reyes, Sean Cooper, and O'Connell. And Reyes departed in 2018 due to personal reasons. And O'Connell told fans that he quit the band in a statement on social media. He said after nearly 25 years as they I need to get back here. First, I want to thank the fans. Your love and support have meant everything to me. You've been the heartbeat of TBS and a huge part of my life for nearly a quarter of a century. I owe it all to you. My departure wasn't an easy decision, and it wasn't entirely my own. Over the past few years, I've focused on my family and personal growth, including committing to my sobriety. Unfortunately, during this time, I didn't always feel the support I needed from those I thought of as brothers, and creative differences made it hard to move forward together. He says he's going to be releasing new music soon, both as a solo artist and with some old friends. He's poured his heart into the project and can't wait to share it. It's a new chapter for him. And he said he's grateful for the incredible memories with each of his bandmates and all of you, as well as the opportunities along the way. Choose to focus on the good as he moves into the next chapter of his career. So good luck to Mark in that next chapter. Lady Gaga has become the third act to ever have multiple number ones in three different decades. Milestone has only been previously hit by Michael Jackson and Janet Jackson, and her collaboration with Bruno Mars, "Die with a Smile," has finally hit the top spot on the Billboard charts, nearly 5 months since it was first released. So it's interesting how that works. And the song was written to feel super 70s and inspired by the collaborations between Carole King and James Taylor. Debuted at the number 3 slot and remained in the upper parts of the slot for months. And now, with all the Christmas tracks off the charts, "Die with a Smile" has claimed the top position after 20 weeks on the charts. So good job for Lady Gaga. All right, that is our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. Don't have another band lined up right now for next week. We'll see if one pops up. But in the meantime, I want to thank you. Thank you for tuning in and following Concert Pipeline. Follow us on the socials, spread the word, all of that fun stuff. So for all of us here at Concert Pipeline, I'm Steve Jones. We'll catch you next time.